The American Jobs Act is now in the hands of Congress. Today, in the Rose Garden, President Obama unveiled his jobs bill, 155 pages of legislative language that detail the broad proposals the president laid out last week in his nationally televised speech to Congress, in which he urged them to pass the bill 17 times. Today, in the Rose Garden, in a 10-minute speech, he urged Congress to pass it 12 times. The president has now provided real specificity for what kind of tax revenue increases he wants to help pay for his jobs bill. The president wants high-income earners, corporate jet owners, hedge fund managers, and oil companies to pay more in taxes in order to pay for the jobs bill. These are the same ideas the Republicans balked at when the president proposed them during the debt ceiling negotiations. Before he had even seen the bill, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor suggested President Obama was making unreasonable demands. For the president to say, pass my bill, all or nothing, it's just not the way things are done anywhere in Washington. No kidding. On all or nothing. I think the country and this town may have had a little bit of enough of that. But the most truthful Republican response to the president's jobs plan came courtesy of an unnamed senior House Republican aide who was quoted in Politico saying, "Obama is on the ropes. Why do we appear ready to hand him a win?" The president and the vice president saw that comment by the unnamed Republican aide in Politico, and the president included a reference to it in his speech today.
Joe and I, as we were walking out here, we were looking at one of the Washington newspapers, and it was quoting a Republican aide saying, "I don't know why we'd want to cooperate with Obama right now. It's not good for our politics." That was very explicit.
It was.
That's the attitude in this town. Yeah, we've been for these things before, but I don't know why we'd be for them right now. Fact of the matter is, the next election is 14 months away. And the notion that there are folks who would say we're not going to try to do what's right for the American people because we don't think it's convenient for our politics. We've been seeing that too much around here. And that's exactly what folks are tired of.
Joining me now is Melody Barnes, Director of the White House Domestic Policy Council. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Melody, first to Eric Cantor's objection. Has the president said this 155-page bill is take it or leave it? He will not accept any adjustments or any negotiations on it.
Well, what the president has said and what the president has done is he's talked to business leaders, we've talked to economists, we've talked to the American people as we've gone all over the country to find the best ways to put millions of people back to work, to save millions of jobs. We've put together ideas that have been supported by Democrats and Republicans in the past, as recently as just a few months ago, this past December, and we've accumulated a bipartisan set of ideas. We've put together a package to pay for those ideas so that we can put people back to work. This is about getting our economy going. This is about sending teachers back into the classroom and firefighters and cops back into our neighborhoods to keep our communities safe and our economies growing and getting stronger and stronger. That's what this is about.
Well, I'm going to take that answer to mean that the president is open to negotiations with the Republican House of Representatives on specific items in the bill in order to get it passed.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and the day that we send the bill up start negotiating about the bill. The president has put together his ideas, a comprehensive set of ideas to get the job done. And now he's saying to Congress, let's move. Let's act. I'm ready to go. I want to work with you. I've sent forward my ideas. It's now time for Congress, the legislative branch of the government, to act on them. And we're prepared to work with you to get this done. We've also sent pay-fors. We've done what we can thus far in terms of putting ideas together. Now it's time for Congress to stand up and do its job.
What makes you think that the Republicans will accept any of the tax revenue increase provisions in the bill? Were those part of the tax revenue increase provisions that John Boehner is said to have tentatively been willing to accept in his negotiations with the White House earlier over the increase in the debt ceiling?
Well, we put together a set of pay-fors that we believe can get the job done and can get things moving. We've put together those things. We've actually overachieved in putting this package together. You know, the bill costs probably about $447 billion. We're going for more than that to make sure that the bill is paid for, in addition to the work that we did working with Congressman Boehner, with Speaker Boehner, and others just a few months ago when we passed the Budget Act. So we've done all of this to make sure that we've covered the cost of the bill, and now Congress can act on that, can tell us what they're looking for. We're also going to be putting out a plan in about a week that we're sending to the so-called super committee or the joint committee, and that will contain additional ideas for deficit reduction. They can move from there. They can act on that. But what we wanted to do is to pay for the bill as the president promised. Not another penny will be added to the deficit by paying for this bill.
In effect, there is an effective increase in the top income tax rate for individuals in here, because what you've done is decrease the deductibility. You don't allow them full deductibility at their level, at the 35% level. You cut that down to 28%. So, for example, top-end earners with a full $1.1 million mortgage deduction, their actual tax deduction would go from probably around $50,000 a year down to around $40,000 a year. They would, in effect, be paying $10,000 more a year in taxation. Is there any indication that the Republicans will go along with what is, in effect, a revenue tax increase on the top income tax payers?
Well, you're exactly right in your description of the limitation on itemized deductions and on exemptions. I mean, we've also included carried interest to deal with the hedge fund manager issue that people have been talking about for a long time, and there are people across the aisle that say there's something has to be done with that. Oil and gas, the treatment of oil and gas industry, also corporate jets. So we put together a package of several things to get this job done. But again, this is part of a larger package that we're putting together, and we're going to be sending to the super committee. The bottom line on this, and the president has said this is about shared sacrifice. And this is about shared responsibility. We can't pay for everything that we want right now. And we can't afford everything that we want right now. We have to do what's necessary to pay for a package that's going to get Americans back to work. And I would expect that Republicans and Democrats in Congress have been hearing from their constituents at home who are out of work and saying, please act, do the responsible thing so that I can go back to work, so my child's teacher won't be laid off, so that construction workers are actually doing the jobs that are needed to take care of this country's infrastructure, and so that they can pay their bills, so that we can put more money in the pockets of American workers.
Melody, I noticed that the new caps on deductibility go into effect in 2013, and in the bill presumes that the top income tax rates in 2013 will be 39.6 and 36. Both of those rates, both of those top two rates are higher than the current top tax bracket. Those are the Clinton tax rates. Are you presuming that we will raise the top two income tax rates by legislation, or simply by letting the current Bush rates expire?
Well, I think the president has spoken to what his intentions are with regard to the Bush tax cuts. The president has also spoken to the fact that he intends to address tax reform issues. Again, he's going to be putting out his plan next week. I don't want to get ahead of that, but the president has been very, very clear about what's necessary in a time of shared sacrifice and shared responsibility.
Melody Barnes, Director of the White House Domestic Policy Council, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Great. Thank you so much, Larry.